It is 9:38. I'm not really liking the price action with TXTM, and it seems like it had another gap up, which is, again, something I don't like when I want to consider a spike in the morning, because then it just feels like it has more potential for it to not work out because it's already up on air. And this thing continues to panic. I didn't have any interest trying to dip by it here. I did have a small interest in thinking, what if this thing actually breaks 2 cents? I did have an idea to trade just a very small amount of shares and thinking that worst case scenario amount at 1.2, which would be massive, I guess, because this thing isn't trading as quick as I thought it could. I'll continue to watch this. This could be a potential dip I set up at any point, but it has to look clean. And right now, it isn't really looking clean, so I'm not too interested in trading it. And that's really about it. BMIX has no volume. SYXX looks like it could do something, but this one kind of trades with a spread. It's not really as nice as what it used to be. And I'm also looking at the other screen, GESI. I would be really hesitant on wanting to buy this thing if it breaks past $10. I will continue to watch this, but I'm essentially looking at both of these for any potential morning panic bounce play setups. It is 9:53. I had one trade with TXTM and it was just a very tiny scratch for what it was. And I did have this trend line here kind of following along the downtrending price action. This was the kind of thing I was talking about where I thought I could panic very quickly. In this one candle, it dropped from 17 to 16, and that's like what, like a 6% move. And it decided to hold itself. It was trading back and forth, and essentially I had an interest in it once it started to look like it was going to not just hold here but break this trend line. And I was in 4,000 shares at 17, and that was at 946. So that was right here. I was a bit early for what it was. Right here at 17 I was in. And it looks like it's actually, I mean, it's doing it, but it has a spread, and that's not really ideal. I guess we do have that big bidder there at 17 too, which is nice. This thing is trying to make a move towards VWAP, which was a goal, and it could even try to get above it, but, I didn't like it that much. I didn't like the price action, but it looks like it's trying to do it. Again, at 946, I was in 4,000 shares at 17, so that was right here at the top of this wick. I was in at 17. In theory, I could have gotten maybe a better entry at 168 or something like that. And then at 952, when it was starting to work an uptrend a little bit, I did sell half of my position at 17.1 just because it was taking a bit long for it to work and I wasn't too happy with the price action. So I did sell half for, just a slight profit, just in case that if it just makes a little blip and it starts to fail again, I at least sold half of my position for roughly break even. And then I did sell the other half at the same minute at 952 because I did have this trend line right here. The idea was just to sell half to lower my risk and, sell the other half if it breaks under the trend line. And it did break under it, but as you can see, it's still trying to hold it and it is making a move towards VWAP, although the bid isn't really catching up with the ask. And yeah, I mean, the setup kind of worked. It wasn't perfect. Maybe maybe the promoters are watching my videos, so they're making their charts hard to use trend lines. But I saw the pattern, and I did try it, and I didn't lose anything, and that's a nice bidder. Let's see if they want to take it out immediately. No, yeah, it's doing it, and I'd be very happy selling the other half if I still had it here at VWAP. So yeah, I was on the right track. I just didn't like the price action overall, and it kind of reminds me of SYXX, but I still traded it because I saw that pattern, and I'll make an update later. It is 10:14 a.m. and I did have an interest to trade this right here because this was almost like a double bottom off of this previous panic low. And one of the things that were really nice is that there was a 2 million share seller at the ask, and then it got immediately taken out. And I think there was a 5 million share bidder that showed up at the bid. So that made it look extremely strong, but something just feels off with the price action here. So I never really traded it, although maybe I'll try to do it now. I just didn't like the way it was trading, and it seems like there's a big seller at 17 with hidden size. It almost feels like a market maker is trying to short the crap out of this. But, you know, I can't be sure. I don't know. I don't have like connections or anything like that. I'm just trading the patterns I see here. So I also want to note that I'm going to be going on a camping trip. So I'm probably not even going to be able to see this entire thing today, and I'll probably have to end the video and publish it soon, even while it's still trading, you know, before the market closes. So I do have to note that there isn't anything that I like here. I want to see something really obvious to consider trading it, otherwise it's going to be no trades. Okay, it is 12:01 p.m. I've been packing and getting things ready, but I did manage to see this with GESI, and I don't know if this is actually working. I haven't been looking at the computer since I had this last trade, but I mean, this thing could just try little baby dips and just fall off, but maybe this one can actually do something better. I did trade GESI, very spectacular crash today, and I bought 12 shares. I thought worst case scenario. You know, I'm in at 610, and essentially this was like the price point where I would be most happy with. Worst case, that doesn't make sense. Okay, it is 12:02 p.m. and I actually haven't seen any of this price action. I wonder if it can try to do something. I haven't been watching it, so it's not really ideal for me to try to long the setup, although maybe this can be the ultimate turnaround. I just haven't been watching this to really get an idea of whether or not the odds might show that it could try to reverse here, or if it's just going to be a little blip and it keeps crashing and then breaks the day low. It looks like we just broke the day low briefly, and it looks like the same setup I was trading here, but now it's playing off of $5 perhaps. I did trade this one. It did have a spectacular downtrend. As you can see today, it's down 44%. I just happened to see this while I was packing for the camping trip, and I did buy at 11.54, 12 shares at 5.81, and I thought, you know, worst case I'll be in at 6.10, and I was just judging how I was playing off of the $6 price point, and when it was 11.54 I got in it because it did actually look like it was going to try to reverse, and I was in at 5.81, and I thought worst case scenario I would be out at 4.80, which would have been, I think, a $15 to a $20 risk level. I did sell in two pieces. I did it perfectly. I sold 5 shares at 606, and that was at 11.56. That was this uptrending candle. I sold some shares at 606, and then I had the trend line based off of the way it was forming. If it was going to break it, I was going to get out, and thankfully I did do that. I got out at 11.58, 7 shares at 5.88, which was right here, right before it broke the trend line, and as you can see, big sell-off. So now the question is it going to play off of the 520s or the $5 level and officially bounce, or if it's going to even break below that ultimately and maybe try doing something in the fours. So I'm pretty happy that I traded this, even though I'll probably miss most of the price action here because I will be heading off to that camping trip, but this is pretty cool, and I'm happy I at least got to try it once. I don't think I'll try considering trading this, but you know, if anything, I can watch this and learn from it while I guess I'm doing other things in the background. I guess once, you know, this thing plays out a little longer, I'll stop looking at it, but this is pretty interesting. Okay, it is 12:31 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, I'm going to be up on a day unless I happen to trade something else, $1.58, and that's because I'm trading a super tiny amount of size, and maybe my risk level is way too far away, and that was trading TX. Wow, I didn't see this at all. I wonder what this would have been like. I don't know. I did not see this panic at all. I was looking at GESI, but TXTM had a panic too. And this one's better because this one went from the 12s to the 14s, so that's like 15%. While GESI, I mean, the most it's done is $5 to 5.80, so I guess they're around the same actually in terms of percent difference, but okay, wow, I did okay, so I traded TXTM the first panic. That was way back in 946, and I did pretty well here. And you know, I didn't have much of an interest in it. Although here it was a little nice, thinking that, maybe it finally broke out of this range, got to 17, gets to VWAP, consolidates, and then it kind of breaks past it, but it never did that. This was a pretty impressive drop, and let me just see if a trend line would have worked for this. Maybe one realistically here. I guess that would have been kind of off. Maybe I would have had to have changed it, as it was downtrending more, like right here. That's impressive, and this thing still looks like it's uptrending. This one is definitely much cleaner than GESI, which makes sense because from my experience, OTCs above $1, they're just always kind of weird the way they trade. But this is cool too, so there was definitely a trade I could have taken here, but I don't regret missing it because I was looking at GESI, which was also a pretty considerable drop. Wow. I didn't trade it here. I did have an interest. At the most, I had it at 530, I believe, but I never took it. I thought, okay, this could be the panic, and then it panicked more. Maybe if it uptrends and makes a inverse head and shoulders, I'll take it. I didn't necessarily want to trade it because it just felt so sketchy, but it did end up uptrending, at least from the 530s to the 590s. And unless this thing were to downtrend all the way back here and maybe hold around this 520 level, I'm not going to trade this one probably anymore. And I do want to call it off early again because I have that camping trip. But this is pretty nice with TXTM. I wish I was a part of this. And that's the trend line break right there. I'd be cutting my position if I still had one. Even if it consolidates and uptrends later, that would be my easy in and out trade. That's really cool. I might consider increasing my size to maybe a $25 to a $30 risk level. Otherwise, that's really it. Just a bunch of cool setups. I did my best here. This one didn't really do much. And GESI, I did try here. It wasn't the ultimate bottom. I missed out the ultimate bottom with GESI here, as well as TXTM. But I think I'm getting better and better at this. And God willing, I can be able to trade one of these and be super profitable and try with more size over a longer period of time.